the 5 takeaways and see what 5 things we can take away from that brilliant 2-0 win against Manchester United yesterday. And the first up, you've got PAPE MATAR star.
Yeah, what a performance. I mean, we're waxing lyrical about him again, but I just thought it was really important to take away how good he was in his all-round game yesterday. Like, off the ball, he won 3 of his 4 duels, 2 tackles, and he was very, very combative, stopped a number of counter-attacks, and on the ball as well. He had 4 shots in total, 2 of them being on target, 86% passing accuracy, 2 of his 2 long passes completed, and obviously scored the goal as well to open the scoring. It was just a phenomenal all-round game for PAPE MATAR, and I look, for his age, for him to put in a performance like that against a good team like Man United, I just think it's a sign of things to come from him.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, to be honest. Had players that have been playing Premier League football at a high standard in his back pocket for the majority of that game yesterday. Everything that he did yesterday just oozed class, from his defensive display, from putting out fires, from counter-attacks, from his work in the box and going forward as well. So I cannot fault PAPE MATAR one bit. And number 2, a player that I can't fault as well, which is faultless VICARIO.
Yeah, and I thought for his first home game, you know, when he's come under tiny bit of criticism for some of his performances leading into this game. Maybe I wouldn't say the pressure was on, but maybe people were starting to doubt him going into this game. But I thought he really answered a lot of the critics with a fantastic display. 6 saves, completing 3 of his 6 long passes, 1.46 xG prevented as well with his saves, which was phenomenal. And overall, he actually had a 92% passing accuracy, which is a lot better than Brentford, where I think it was about 63%. So that seems to be improving as well. A really great display, and at times kept us in the game.
Yeah, in those moments that we really needed him to stand up for us. And he did. Like I said before, I just cannot fault him at all for his display yesterday. Some of these saves that he was pulling out were proper stretch body, fingertips, saves that, you know, maybe he doesn't even have any right to make. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, world-class saves yesterday. So big up to VICARIO, big up to VENOM. He put in an absolutely miraculous display yesterday. But let's move on to number 3, and that is PORRO at right back.
Yeah, and I thought, look, there was a lot of talk going into this game when the lineups were announced that PORRO was there instead of Emerson, and it caused a lot of. I think Brian Daigle fell to his knees when he heard the team news, and I think there was a lot of people worried about this potential swap. But I think he came in and really proved the doubters wrong and put in a really great display at right back, both defensively and offensively, and really provided a really good option for the team. He made 3 clearances, 1 tackle, 1 interception, 1 key pass, completed 3 out of his 4 long passes, 1 out of his 1 dribble. He obviously ended up hitting the bar with a really good shot from the edge of the box as well. And I just thought he just wasn't a liability going at the back. And I thought he was helped by the energy of Sarr in front of him. But I just thought him at right back himself, I thought he was actually a bit more disciplined than maybe associate PORRO being as well. And it looks like he's starting to adapt to this role.
Yeah, and if you can marry that discipline that he showed in the game yesterday and the defensive work with the attacking attributes that we know he has, we've got an absolutely star on our hands in the making, in my opinion. And I think that he can give us going forward, you know, even if his defending isn't as good as Emerson Royale, if he can defend in those kind of levels that he did yesterday, I mean, he gets the shirt hands down, in my opinion. And I think with that performance against Manchester United, surely he has to be our starting right back from here on out.
Yeah, I think he's probably earned that spot for now. Although you might argue, people would argue Emerson would earn the spot after Brentford. So it just seems as though he's still working things out. But it's just great to have 2 right backs playing well in that position.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's move on to number 4, and that is a game of 2 halves once again.
Yeah, and I think the stats really bear out the difference in both halves and how we regain control. If you look at the first half, in the attacking numbers, Spurs had 7 shots, 0.55 xG, and 0 big chances, with Man United having 14 shots, 1.38 xG, and 3 big chances. If you look at the possession as well, I think in the first half, it was actually 57% for Spurs, and we actually had a little bit less possession in the second half. But what we did with that possession was the difference. It was Spurs 10 shots, 3 big chances, and 1.2 xG in the second half, with Man United 8 shots, 0.68 xG, and 1 big chance, so pretty much half our xG in that second half. And they really were shackled and nullified defensively, but it was more about what we were doing with the ball, which was creating chances, having free-flowing passing moves, and we really did take control of the game in that second half. But you got to say, looking at that first half, we were definitely lucky to go in at 0-0.
But I mean, the difference was, like, in the first half, the majority of our possession was in our own half. That's what the difference was. In the second half, we just put it on them. We didn't let them get out in this sense, and the majority of our possession was in their half. So I think that's what the key difference was from the first half to the second half. And what we did with the ball was just completely different kettle of fish. And it was night and day, that performance from the first half to the second half. Let's move on to the fifth and final takeaway, and it's revolving our captain Heung-min Son, and that is improving Sonny.
Yeah, and we all know that he struggled in the first game against Brentford and came under quite a lot of criticism off the back of also some fairly mediocre displays in pre-season as well. But I think hopefully this was the first sign of Son adapting to this role and really getting to grips with what he Ange requires from his left wingers. And I thought he actually had a really good game. 4 key passes during the game, so I think that was the highest on the pitch. I think he completed 3 out of his 5 dribbles, which is something that I've criticised him for, with his lack of ability to take people on anymore. 6 out of 8 duels won, which is very impressive. Also 1 tackle as well. So really doing a very good job for the team off the ball as well as on the ball, which is also really impressive. And I just thought, as one of the more experienced heads in the team, I thought he did a very good job leading the team as well. I just thought it was a much improved display from Son, and hopefully a sign of things to come as well.
Yeah, I hope so, because it's actually a role that you probably associate with Sonny in his early stages of his career, really getting the ball and being a terror on that left-hand side and being a chance creation machine and really like taking on his fullback time and time again. But it's not really a role that Sonny's been used to over the past 2-3 years at least. So to see him get back to basics and do it again, because we all questioned whether he's kind of adaptable to that again. And it shows yesterday that he is. And if he can keep improving and keep putting performances like that as like a kind of base performance and keep getting better on that, then I don't really have too many problems with Son out on the left.
Yeah, 100%. For me, even though he had a much better display yesterday, I think the jury out was just still out for me whether he's still perfect for that role. But at least he showed he can do it. Whether he can do it on a consistent basis, we'll have to wait and see. But he had a much better performance yesterday, and that's just moving in the right direction. Yeah,
and it also showed variation when he moved into the middle, that he can do that equally well as well. So there's different players that we can play in a number of different formations, like Kulusevski as well, like as much as HG said it on the panel show, to move him inside. And if we have a kind of injury on the right, in the middle of the park, let's say Maddison is injured, you know, I don't have too many problems with maybe putting Manor right on that right-hand side and putting Kulusevski in the middle. I think that could work equally, maybe not equally as well, but as well. Let's say well. So look, I think we've got different variations that we can play. We've got a strong squad building here. We've got a good mentality building here, and it's all led by the brilliant manager that is Ange Postecoglou. So that is our 5 takeaways. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts about our takeaways, and if you have any other takeaways, let us know in the comment section.